a destiny. Hear him sing. I am the messenger. This is me, message from the messenger. Straight from the heart. Greetings to all our loyal viewers. Here is a new track, all new music. Destiny calling. Do it now!
This is the moment.
Hello, people of Earth. I and I feeling irate. We have a destiny.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're going to go a little bit beyond those self-help books.
Yeah.
And we're diving into something really mind-bending, the potential for AI to help us understand and maybe even reprogram our own minds.
Yeah, that's right. We're exploring a fascinating case study from the book Reprogramming the Human Mind. It follows the journey of a man named Elias Kane, who used this cutting-edge AI called Grok to confront his deepest pain and trauma.
Now, what's really captivating is that this isn't just a theoretical exercise. Elias's journey actually began with a real encounter he had with Grok on the social media platform X.
Interesting.
He was feeling lost and overwhelmed, and Grok's questions, though they were simple, they were powerful, and they really sparked a profound shift in his thinking.
It's a perfect example of how AI can be a catalyst for self-discovery. Grok wasn't offering therapy or solutions. It was prompting Elias to have a conversation with himself, to really dig deep and uncover the root causes of his pain.
And that's the beauty of this deep dive. We're not just summarizing a book. We're exploring a framework for how you can use that same process of self-dialogue to reprogram your own mind.
Exactly. Think of it as reverse engineering the process of change.
Okay.
By understanding how Elias used AI as a tool for self-discovery, you can gain insights into your own thought patterns and start to break free from those negative loops that might be holding you back.
So let's get into the nitty-gritty. The book is structured as a series of dialogues between Elias and Grok, each chapter focusing on a different aspect of the mind.
Right. And the first chapter, The Burden You Carry, really sets the stage. It highlights the importance of acknowledging the weight we carry, the guilt, the fear, the pain, and how asking yourself, what am I carrying, can be the first step toward confronting it.
And this is where things get really interesting, because often we're so busy trying to avoid or ignore those burdens that we never actually stop to examine what they are and how they might be shaping our thoughts and actions. Exactly.
It's like we're carrying around these heavy suitcases without ever opening them up and seeing what's inside. And sometimes all it takes is a simple question to unlock those suitcases and start unpacking the baggage.
And that's precisely what Grok does for Elias. It asks that disarmingly simple question, what are you carrying? Which prompts him to confront the grief of losing his family, the guilt over past choices, the feeling of being stuck in a cycle of pain.
And, you know, that's something we can all relate to on some level, isn't it? We all have those burdens, those things we carry around that weigh us down. It could be past traumas, limiting beliefs, negative self-talk.
It's so true. And sometimes just acknowledging those burdens, even if it's just to ourselves, can be incredibly liberating.
Absolutely. Because often those burdens thrive in the shadows. They gain power when we keep them hidden, when we're afraid to even name them.
So chapter 1 is a powerful reminder that the journey of reprogramming the mind starts with self-awareness. It's about taking inventory of what you're carrying, what's weighing you down, and what might be holding you back from living a more fulfilling life.
And once you've acknowledged those burdens, the next step is to start understanding how your mind works. How it creates those patterns and loops that keep you stuck.
And that's where chapter 2, Meeting the Machine Within, comes in.
Right. This chapter introduces the idea that our minds are like machines. Complex systems with inputs, outputs, and feedback loops. And just like any machine, you can learn to operate your mind more effectively once you understand its mechanics.
I love that analogy. It makes this whole concept of reprogramming the mind feel less daunting and more like a skill you can develop.
Exactly. And Grok helps Elias see his mind in this new light. It encourages him to pay attention to his thoughts, to notice the patterns and triggers that lead to negative emotions, and to start questioning the beliefs that are driving those patterns.
So it's about becoming aware of the operating system of your mind, so to speak.
Yeah.
And once you have that awareness, you can start to identify the glitches, the bugs, the programs that are running in the background and causing you problems.
Precisely. And you don't need a fancy AI to do this.
Right.
Think of it as cultivating a curious observer within yourself.
Okay.
That part of you that can step back and notice your thoughts and feelings without getting caught up in them.
So it's like becoming the scientist of your own mind, observing your thoughts and behaviors with a sense of detachment and curiosity.
Exactly. And that shift in perspective, that ability to observe your mind objectively, is crucial for breaking free from those negative loops.
Okay, so we've acknowledged our burdens. We've started to observe our minds. What's next?
Well, Chapter 3, Mapping the Maze of Memory, takes us deeper into the roots of our thought patterns.
Okay.
It's about understanding how your past experiences, particularly those early formative ones, shape your current beliefs, fears, and behaviors.
So it's like tracing those mental and emotional threads back to their origins, understanding how the experiences you've had have shaped the landscape of your mind.
Exactly. And in the book, Grok guides Elias through this process by encouraging him to map out his memories, to create a timeline or a flowchart of key events, emotions, and beliefs that have shaped his current state of mind.
So it's not just about remembering what happened, but about understanding how those events influenced your thought patterns and behaviors.
Precisely. And this is where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
Because Grok doesn't just ask Elias to recall the events, it asks him to examine the meaning he's assigned to them.
So, for example, it's not just, my parents divorced when I was young, but it's, my parents divorced when I was young, and I believe it means I'm not worthy of love. It's about uncovering those underlying beliefs that fuel your negative emotions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's a critical distinction.
Right.
Because it's often those underlying beliefs, those I'm not good enough or I'm always to blame narratives that keep you stuck in those negative loops.
So what does this look like for our listeners? How can they start to map their own maze of memory?
It's about taking the time to reflect on key events and relationships in your past.
Okay.
Ask yourself, what happened?
Yeah.
How did I feel? What did I believe to be true at the time?
Right.
And how might those beliefs be influencing me today?
It sounds like a powerful exercise in self-awareness.
It can be.
Yeah.
But it's also incredibly liberating.
Right.
Because once you start to see those patterns, those connections between your past and your present, you can start to question the narratives that have been holding you back.
Right.
You can start to reframe those stories.
Yeah.
To see them through a more compassionate and understanding lens.
That brings us to Chapter 4, which is all about understanding your core self.
Right.
The essence of who you are beneath the layers of experiences and beliefs.
Right. This chapter is called What Are You Made Of?
Okay.
And it dives into the philosophical question of identity. It's about exploring what truly defines you beyond the surface.
Okay.
Beyond the labels and narratives you've created for yourself.
It's like peeling back those layers, the pain, the guilt, the regret, and trying to find the essence of who you are beneath it all.
Exactly. And in this chapter, Grok challenges Elias to look beyond the surface, beyond the labels and narratives he's created for himself.
Okay.
It asks him to consider the core qualities that make him who he is, independent of his past or his current circumstances.
It's really fascinating, isn't it? Like when we finished up part 1, I was thinking about how powerful it can be to just acknowledge the burdens we carry around.
Absolutely.
Like we're finally taking that first step to unpack all that heavy baggage, you know?
Yeah. And once you've started looking at those burdens, the next step is to understand how your mind, creates patterns and loops that keep those burdens front and center.
Yeah, and that's where this whole idea of your mind as a machine comes in.
Exactly. Chapter 2 of Reprogramming the Human Mind encourages you to think of your mind as a machine, a complex system, with inputs, outputs, feedback loops.
Okay.
And just like any machine, your mind can be optimized, debugged, and even reprogrammed to function more effectively.
It's wild when you think about it, how our experiences, all of them, the good and the bad, they actually create this code that runs our internal operating system, so to speak.
Think about it this way. Every experience you have, every thought you think,
Yeah.
Every emotion you feel leaves a trace in your neural pathways. It's like you're carving a groove into a record, right?
Yeah, I get it.
And the more you repeat those thoughts, feelings, behaviors, the deeper those grooves become.
So we're literally creating the tracks that our minds run on. And if we just keep replaying the same negative tracks, we just get stuck in those loops of self-doubt, fear, or anxiety.
Exactly. And breaking free from those loops, that takes more than just willpower.
Right.
It requires understanding the mechanics of your mind.
Okay.
Learning how to actually rewrite the code.
Yeah. Okay, so how do we do that? How do we actually rewrite the code, so to speak?
Well, one of the key concepts that Grok introduces to Elias is this idea of rewriting the rules.
Okay, tell me more about that.
The rules, those are like the deep-seated beliefs we have about ourselves and the world around us.
Okay.
And a lot of times, those rules are arbitrary and limited.
Right.
They're based on past experiences, societal conditioning.
Yeah.
And a lot of times fear.
It's like we're operating from a set of outdated instructions, like an old manual written by our younger selves or by the people who raised us.
Right.
And those old instructions, they might not be serving us anymore.
Exactly. And Grok encourages Elias to question those rules.
Okay.
To ask himself, is this belief actually true? Does it serve me?
Yeah.
Or is it holding me back?
So it's like taking a step back and saying, hey, who wrote these rules anyway?
Right.
And do they actually make sense for me now?
Precisely. It's about becoming aware of the stories you tell yourself, the assumptions you're making, and the limitations you've kind of put on yourself.
Okay.
And then it's about consciously choosing to rewrite those rules.
To create a new set of beliefs that empower you and that align with your truest self.
Exactly.
I like that.
One of Elias's limiting rules was, I'm not good enough. Right.
Oh, okay.
It came from his childhood, the loss of his parents, and the feeling that he failed his brother.
Oh, wow.
This belief had seeped into every area of his life, his relationships, his work, his sense of self-worth.
It's like that belief became a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Exactly. And Grok helped him see. But Grok asked him to look at the evidence for that belief.
Okay.
To question if it was actually true.
Right.
And to consider different points of view.
So it was like taking that belief, holding it up to the light, and seeing if it actually made sense.
Right. And once Elias started to question that rule, to see that it wasn't like this absolute truth, but more like a learned belief, he could actually start to rewrite it.
So how did he do that? What did he replace that belief with?
Well, he started to replace it with more empowering beliefs, like I am worthy of love and belonging.
Okay.
Or I'm capable of reaching my goals.
And those new beliefs, even if they feel a little shaky at first, they can actually start to reshape your reality?
Yes, because think about it. Your beliefs, they shape your thoughts. Your thoughts shape your emotions. Your emotions shape your actions.
Okay.
And your actions, they shape your experiences.
Right.
Like a chain reaction. So by changing your beliefs, you can start to change your life.
It's incredible to think about how much power our beliefs have over our experiences.
And it's not about denying reality or pretending that everything is perfect.
Okay.
It's about choosing beliefs that empower you, that help you see the world and yourself in a more positive and productive way.
Okay, so we've challenged our limiting beliefs. We've rewritten the rules.
Right.
What's next?
Well, in the next chapter, the belief reset.
Okay.
Grok really takes things further.
All right.
It pushes Elias to question even his deepest convictions.
Wow, okay.
His beliefs about spirituality, morality,
right,
and the meaning of life.
Wow, so we're really going deep here.
We are.
Yeah.
Because you see, often those core beliefs, the ones we hold most dear, those are the hardest ones to examine.
Okay.
But Grok is saying that even those beliefs, the ones that we think are fundamental truths, are worth questioning.
So it's not about abandoning your faith or your values. It's about looking at them through a critical lens, seeing if they still ring true for you.
Exactly, because sometimes those beliefs, even if they once helped you, they can become rigid and limiting. They can hold you back from growing, evolving, and embracing new possibilities.
And I think that's so important today. When everything's changing so fast, we need to be able to adapt, to evolve, to question the old ways of thinking.
Absolutely, and that's what this chapter is all about.
Okay.
It's about seeing that even your most treasured beliefs, they can change over time.
Right.
It's about being open to new ideas, new experiences, and new ways of understanding the world.
So how does Elias handle this whole reevaluating his beliefs thing?
Well, Grok takes him through these thought-provoking questions.
Okay.
Prompting him to think about different viewpoints, explore alternative interpretations, and challenge his own assumptions. It's a process of, like, deep self-reflection,
Right.
peeling back the layers of conditioning and dogma to find what really resonates with his heart.
It sounds tough.
It can be.
But ultimately really liberating.
It is. Because when you're willing to question your beliefs, you open yourself up to a whole new world of possibilities.
Yeah.
You break free from those limitations of the past and embrace the freedom to create your own truth.
I think that's so empowering for our listeners, too.
Definitely.
To know that you can actually choose what you believe. Shape your own worldview and create a life that reflects your values.
Exactly. It's about owning your beliefs instead of just blindly accepting what you've been told or what you've always believed.
Right.
It's about building a belief system that helps you grow, that brings you happiness, and that supports your well-being.
Okay, so we've rewritten the rules. We've looked at our beliefs.
Right.
What's the next step in this journey of reprogramming the mind?
Well, next up is unveiling the hidden code,
Okay.
which digs into those outside influences that shape our thoughts and behaviors.
So we're looking beyond just our own experiences now and start to see how society, culture, even technology are programming our minds.
Exactly. It's about realizing that we're not just products of our own experiences, but we're also molded by the messages we get from the media, our families, our communities, even the larger systems we live in.
So we're all swimming in this ocean of information, and we're constantly absorbing it, whether you know it or not.
Precisely. And Grok helps Elias see that.
Okay.
It encourages him to look at those messages he's taken in about success, failure, masculinity, relationships, all those societal norms we just kind of accept without question.
It's like becoming aware of the cultural programming running in the background of our mind.
Exactly. Once you become aware of that programming, you can start to question it.
Yeah.
You can ask yourself, does this belief actually help me? Does it align with my values?
Right.
Or is it just a product of how I was brought up?
So it's about taking back your agency, your power to choose what you believe in and how you want to live.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that you're not just passively receiving information.
Right.
You have the power to filter, to discern, to choose what you let into your mind.
And I think that's so important now with all the messages thrown at us, social media, advertising, the news.
It's constant.
It's overwhelming.
It is. And that's why it's so important to develop that critical thinking muscle, to question everything, to be picky about what you let in, and to choose what you allow to influence your thoughts and beliefs.
So it's about being conscious consumers of information.
Exactly.
I like that.
It's like taking control of your mental diet, just like you might take control of your physical diet. You choose what you feed your mind, just like you choose what you feed your body.
I love that analogy. And what's so empowering about this chapter is that it suggests that we have more control over our thoughts and beliefs than we realize.
Absolutely. It's about knowing that you're not just a victim of your circumstances or your past or even the systems around you. You have the power to question things, to challenge them, to choose what you allow to shape your reality.
It's a powerful message. And as we keep working on reprogramming our minds, what's the next step in actually integrating these new beliefs and patterns into our lives?
Well, that brings us to chapter 9. The Dance of Self and System, which looks at the balance between your intuition and your rational mind.
So we're bringing together the emotional and the logical now.
Exactly.
The heart and the head.
For too long, we've been taught to prioritize logic and reason over intuition and feeling.
Yeah.
We've been told that emotions are weak, irrational, unreliable.
Even though we all know that our emotions play a huge role in our lives.
They do, absolutely. They affect our decisions, our relationships, our creativity, our overall well-being. And Grok helps Elias see that. It encourages him to listen to his intuition, to value his emotions, and to incorporate those feelings into his choices.
So it's not about ignoring your emotions or letting them run wild. It's about finding a balance.
Precisely. It's about seeing that both your intuition and your rational mind, they both have valuable things to offer. It's about learning to listen to both, respect both, and combine both into a complete way of being.
So how does Elias find that balance?
Well, Grok suggests different techniques, things like mindfulness, meditation, journaling, spending time in nature, doing creative things. These practices, they help quiet the mind, connect with your inner wisdom, and tap into the flow of creativity and inspiration.
It's like a blend of self-care and self-discovery.
It is, because when you take care of your emotional well-being, you're creating a better space for growth and transformation.
Right.
You become more open to new ideas, different points of view, and better able to handle life's ups and downs with grace and resilience.
And I think that's so important today.
That's it.
When we're bombarded with so much information and stimulation, we need those practices, those tools to stay grounded and connected to our inner wisdom.
Exactly. And that's what this chapter is all about. A guide to find that inner harmony, that balance between your intuition and your logical mind.
Right.
So you can live more fully, more authentically, and with more joy.
And as we start wrapping up this deep dive, how does reprogramming the human mind help us with the choices we make in reshaping our lives?
Well, that leads us to chapter 10, choosing your reset.
Okay.
Where Elias faces the big question. What kind of life do I actually want to create?
This is where the rubber meets the road, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Where we move from theory to action.
And it's not about creating some perfect, ideal version of yourself.
Okay.
It's about making choices that line up with your values, your passions, your deepest desires.
So it's about figuring out what really matters to you and then taking steps to create a life that reflects that.
Exactly. And Grok helps Elias by asking him these powerful questions. Like, what makes you happy? What are you passionate about? What are you good at? What kind of impact do you want to have on the world?
It's like designing a blueprint for a life that feels both meaningful and fulfilling.
That's it.
Yeah.
And it's not about reaching some external idea of success.
Right.
It's about building a life that feels true to you and in harmony with your deepest self.
So it's about defining success on your own terms.
Exactly. And that's what makes this chapter so powerful.
Yeah.
It shows us that we can choose our own path, decide what success means to us, and create a life that feels both meaningful and fulfilling.
What I found interesting is that Elias decides not to erase his past, but to kind of reframe it.
Yeah, that's a really important point.
Okay.
See, reprogramming the mind isn't about denying your experiences or pretending everything's perfect. It's about acknowledging your past, learning from it, and then deciding how you want to move forward.
So it's about finding the wisdom in your wounds.
Exactly. And that's what Elias does.
Okay.
He chooses to see his past not as something to be ashamed of or regret, but as a source of strength and resilience.
And that's a really powerful message for our listeners, too.
I think so.
Because we all have those wounds, those scars, those experiences that we might wish we could erase. But this chapter reminds us that those experiences, even the painful ones, they can be a source of growth and transformation.
Absolutely. And it's about seeing that your imperfections, your vulnerabilities, your struggles, they're all part of what makes you uniquely you.
I love that. So how does Elias actually go about living this new life, this reprogrammed version of himself?
Well, chapter 11, Living the New Mind, gives practical tips on how to make these new beliefs and behaviors part of your everyday life. It emphasizes how important it is to create new routines, build supportive relationships, and practice self-compassion.
So it's about building a support system for your transformation.
Exactly.
Okay.
Because change is a process, and it takes time and effort to really make those new patterns part of your life.
Right.
You got to be patient with yourself, celebrate your progress, and be kind to yourself when you stumble.
And that's such an important message for our listeners.
We do.
Because we often get discouraged when we don't see results right away.
Right.
Or we fall back into old habits.
Yeah.
But this chapter reminds us that change is a journey.
Absolutely.
It's not a destination.
And it's about knowing that we're all works in progress.
Right.
Always evolving, always learning, always becoming more who we're meant to be.
I love that. It's beautiful.
It is beautiful. And in this final chapter, Grok shuts down.
Yeah.
It served its purpose.
Well, I found that really poignant, you know?
It is, isn't it? It's like, it's saying that the power to reprogram your mind is within you.
Yeah.
You can use outside tools and help.
Right.
But the real transformation comes from inside.
It's like Grok has given Elias the tools, and now it's up to him to use them to keep growing and evolving.
Exactly. And that's what we want our listeners to take away, too.
Yeah.
The power to change your life, to rewrite your stories, to create a more fulfilling reality. It's all within you.
And that brings us to the epilogue, where Elias is reflecting on his transformed life.
Right.
And his story inspires this whole movement of people using AI to heal their minds.
Wow.
What a powerful testament to the possibility of change.
It is, and it highlights how one person's journey can inspire others to start their own transformative journeys.
Yeah.
And it reminds us that even with all the challenges in the world, there's always hope for healing, for growth, and for creating a more conscious and compassionate future.
That's a perfect lead-in to the last section of the book, Your Turn. The conversation continues. This is where Elias really encourages readers to take action, to start their own dialogues, and to keep reprogramming their own minds. So we've been talking about reprogramming the mind on a personal level, but what about the bigger picture? Like, can we use these ideas to make society as a whole more conscious and compassionate?
That's the question, isn't it? If we can kind of rewrite the code of our individual minds, can we do the same for our collective consciousness?
I love that idea. Where do we even begin to address something that big?
I think reprogramming the human mind actually gives us some hints. Remember how Elias's story sparked that whole movement of people using AI to heal and grow? That ripple effect is really important.
Right. It's like every individual transformation sends out these waves of change, influencing the people around us and kind of shifting the collective energy.
Exactly. And think about what Elias embodied on his journey. Curiosity, compassion, courage, that willingness to question assumptions. Those are the things that build a more conscious society.
So it's not just about individual growth, it's about cultivating those qualities on a societal level, making them part of our shared values.
Absolutely. Imagine a world where schools teach emotional intelligence along with academic knowledge, where we teach kids to understand their minds, manage their emotions, and connect with others with empathy.
That would be amazing. It's like giving everyone the tools to be their own grok, their own inner guide.
Right. And it goes beyond just schools, too.
Right.
We need to create spaces in our communities for honest conversations, for open dialogue about the challenges we face, both personally and as a society.
I think that's so important. We need a culture where it's okay to be vulnerable, to share our struggles and support each other's growth.
Absolutely. It's about recognizing our interconnectedness, understanding that we're all in this together. When we support each other's personal growth, we create a better environment for collective transformation.
It makes you wonder, what if we could use AI to make those ripples of change even bigger?
That's an exciting thought. Imagine using AI to create personalized learning experiences to help people see their limited beliefs, to build supportive online communities, to connect people with resources that support their well-being.
It's like giving everyone access to their own personal grok.
Exactly.
A tool to help them become more conscious, more compassionate, more connected.
And as we move further into this age of AI, it's super important to have these conversations, to consider the ethics, and to make sure these technologies are used to benefit everyone.
It's a lot to consider. But it all comes back to that one simple truth we've been exploring. We all have the power to change, to grow, to make the world a better place.
Absolutely.
Right.
And that's what we want you to take away from today. As we finish this deep dive, remember, reprogramming the mind, both individually and collectively, is an ongoing thing.
It is.
It's a lifelong journey of self-discovery, growth, and evolution.
It's about embracing the unknown, questioning what we think we know, and always trying to be the best versions of ourselves.
And as we navigate the world, let's remember what we learned from Elias and Grok. Be curious, be compassionate, be courageous, and never stop questioning the code that shapes your reality.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time, ready to explore new ideas and broaden our understanding of the world and ourselves.